Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time of the day it happens to be wherever you're at. Welcome to the Hag's Greenhouse. And right here before you, you see what is another amaryllis. In Latin, they're known as hippeastrum. It is a hybrid. This one I do believe is Minerva. That's the name of it. It's one of my very favorites. I have a couple of them. It's also one of the most common. So you'll find like 3 or 4 very common ones when you go shopping at that time of year when they're available. Usually shortly before Christmas, like September, October, November, that time of year. And that's in the northern United States. But anyway, in the southern United States, you can grow these in your garden, which I only wish. But anyway, excuse me. 3 of the most common ones are Minerva, Apple Blossom, and then they usually have either a plain red or a plain white. The plain red is usually Red Lion. The white, I'm not really sure. It could be anything. There are several different sizes of hybrids, several different types of hybrids, a lot of different varieties. There are singles, doubles, cybisters, you name it, and the amaryllis is it's a varied and quite beautiful collectible bulb, if you know what if that's what you're looking for, is to grow bulbs inside. As you can see, this one has a yellow leaf here. It's not doing real good. I think it might have been overwatered at one time. The atmosphere, the environment inside my home is not exactly conducive to wonderful plant growth. My east window is about the best light I have, and the problem with that is that right across the room from it is the west-facing window, which is too shaded with trees, but also contains the air conditioning unit and a heating unit. So if it's not blowing cold air, it's blowing warm air. So you see my dilemma. Right across the room are all my plants. So it's not exactly conducive to maintaining a steady temperature. So I have some issues going on. But once I get them out into the greenhouse, they start to look a lot better. They start to actually put on new growth. They like the humidity. That's another thing I have problems with in the house is the air is very dry. So trying to get humidity to stay in there is like, pulling teeth. So that's kind of not happening. Yeah, I could mist them with a spray bottle, but that lasts about 5 seconds, and all it does in summer is put cold water on the leaves, which really isn't a good thing. And in winter, I don't know, it's just, yeah, in winter they want to rest, so, the hippeastrum can be forced so that you can bloom at any time of the year if you're container growing. I don't. I let them revert back. Once they have bloomed, once I've bought them, like in winter, close to Christmas, and I have allowed them to bloom through Christmas, I just let them revert back to their normal growing and blooming period, which is, their schedule is, they bloom in spring, usually, like late spring, early summer. So when they look like they want to rest, I just cut back on feed and water, let them dry out a little bit more, and I feed them a very weak solution of Miracle-Gro liquid. I also add micronutrients. I don't have a brand name for my micronutrients, but I am sure that if you ask around, you can find some. It comes in powdered form, and you don't need to use that much. It's just a little bitty bit. So, anyway, as you can see, this pot is cracked. At one point in time, the bulbs were so big. Let me see if I can let me see if I can get this so that we can actually see what's going on here without killing ourselves. Okay. At one point in time, this particular pot was so full of bulbs that it actually split the pot down here. So, and now, as you can see, the pot is old, it's cracking. Oh, wait a minute. This is actually a dark red. This is not Minerva. I'm sorry. It says on one side, Benfica with a question mark, red pearl, or red lion, dark red. So, this could be either or. There are many, many very dark reds. And those are just a few of them. So, we'll put that off to the side because we're going to need that. I put this little bamboo thing in here with some twisty ties to hold the leaves up so they weren't flopping around. I don't want them to break too badly. Some of them have, you know. And then I look down in this pot, and let's see if we can get a good look down in here. Let me see if I can get you guys a better look down inside this pot. Yeah, you can kind of see how they're, yeah, there's still some good bulb left. I mean, you look at this one right here, and you can see the green. So there's some good meat there. Those bulbs are healthy. There's some too, right there. You see that? We've got some good healthy bulbs here, but we also have some that might be a little bit desiccated that we want to take care of. So what we're going to do, and also if you look very carefully, this was not potted in the same soil that I normally use. This was potted in soil that I probably just had available at the time, and I was in a rush to get it inside a pot. So this is something that I ordinarily would not use. The little yellow balls you see down in there, that's Osmocote. That is kind of a time-released fertilizer. A lot of people use it. It's pretty neat. It helps give you a little boost when, you know, you don't have time to, you know, when you forget to put it in your water, or, you know, you just don't have time to do a proper, you know, fertilizer on everything. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Oh, man, coffee. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So, we have had a little bit of coffee. That makes us feel better. Let me get my glasses on. And let's read a little bit more from some of our information. Okay. And I'm not ready once again, as you can tell by my silence here. Let's go through this once again so everybody understands, okay? Roots serve very few purposes for a plant, but they're some of the most important. Think about it this way, okay? Without healthy roots under the soil surface, there can't be a healthy plant above the surface. Think about that for a second. Makes a lot of logical sense, doesn't it? Because if the roots aren't doing well, the plant above is not going to be doing that well. Okay? I got flies biting me, so I'm thinking we might get a little bit more rain here, but okay. So basically, roots only need, you know, they only exist for a few, you know, they're only needed for a few things, and the medium fills only a few needs in container culture, okay? Among them are Anchorage, A place for the roots to extend, securing the plant and preventing it from falling over or toppling. It needs nutrient retention. It must retain a nutrient supply in available form sufficient to sustain plant systems, okay? To make it grow, to make it healthy, to make it be able to uptake what it needs, nutrient-wise, okay? And it needs gas exchange, believe it or not. Every time you water, what you're doing is you're flushing out the gases that are created by decaying matter under the soil surface, and you're allowing fresh oxygen to flow through with the water that you're giving it, okay? And that's a necessity, okay? And those gases are a byproduct of decomp. That's just what they are, okay? So that those gases escape out the drainage hole at the bottom at the same time that, you know, you're pushing the water through, and your oxygen is coming, you know, coming in through the top with the water that you're adding, okay? For water, your soil has to retain enough water in liquid or vapor form, and it will contain both, okay, at different times, to form, in vapor form, to sustain plants between waterings, okay? Forget about this idea that, you know, water it once a week whether it needs it or not, or I've seen so many things that say, you know, yeah, water about once a week. Well, what if the plant is in too much soil? What if it doesn't need water once a week? What if it actually...
You know where the
yes,
dolly
dear.
is?
The what?
Dolly?
The dolly.
Yeah, you need a strap that's on it.
It's either in the barn all the way in one of the back pens, or it's in the garage, one of the garages. My guess is it's all the way in the back corner of the barn somewhere. Like on the side that we just cleared out for the boys. Go all the way back to where I opened that window, and I think it's back there. Okay, now that we have that taken care of, hopefully. And yes, I'm reading from some information that I've gotten. This is information that has been passed down to me by botanists and horticulturalists that have spent their lives trying to help other people grow better plants, okay? And the one guy that I know that wrote this, his name is Al. He has spent a good portion of his life growing bonsai that with his brother that I have, oh my God, I have not seen bonsai that looks like that. He actually has a tiny little jade plant growing in an acorn cap. And the thing has been alive in there for years. And I don't know how he does it, but it's awesome. All the way up to, and I'm going to have to go download some of his other articles, because he's got articles on root pruning, to keep your, if you, let's say you have like a, oh, I don't know, let's say you have a plant that you want to turn into a topiary or a you know, a little tree, and you want to keep it in your home, but it just keeps getting too big. You can actually prune that. You can prune the roots and prune the top of the plant, and you can keep it any size you want, so you can maintain that, just like pruning roses, okay? So you don't have to give up your plants just because they get a little bit too big for your house. You can actually keep them the size you want. That'll be another thing we'll talk about later on. Right now, let's stick with the basics, okay? So, air in liquid and or vapor form, okay? Water. When we water the plants, it must retain water the soil, the medium, must retain water enough in liquid and or vapor form to sustain the plants between waterings. And air. It must contain a volume of air sufficient to ensure that root function, metabolism, and growth is not impaired. Okay? This is extremely important and the primary reason that heavy water retentive soils are so limiting. And we're talking about, you know, by heavy water retentive soils, we're talking about like most of the soils they sell at any given garden center or store. It doesn't matter what brand it has on it. If it's all made up of fine particles like silt and sand, you're not really going to be doing your plants any favors by sticking them in it. Okay? Because that type of a medium doesn't hold any air pockets. It doesn't allow for water to stay in vaporous form. It basically sucks in the water and holds it there, and your roots literally drowned trying to, you know, they're trying to grow, but they can't. So your plant may look kind of not that great on top of the soil, and that's because it's going through cycles, cycle after cycle, where it's trying to dry out enough, and basically some of the roots are drowning, and, you know, they can't grow toward the outside of the pot fast enough to save it, and so, you know, they just kind of, yeah, they give up the ghost, you know, and then you end up with a whole lot of dead roots. And I showed you guys the other day what that looks like. It's not pretty. It's not, certainly, you know, I have shown that I don't always practice what I preach, but I can admit that, you know, I have other things going on. Sometimes I just look at my plants and I go, yeah, okay, I'll do that later, and then I don't. But in order to have the types of plants that I want, and in order to make them flower again like I really want, this is what I have to do, okay? I've got to repot them once every 2 to 3 years in a medium that is porous enough, that has large enough of a particulate where it actually, you know, can retain air pockets to help with everything that we just discussed. Okay? Think about it. Most plants can be grown without soil as long as we can provide air, nutrients, and water. Like, as in hydroponics, or semi-hydroponics, or, I've seen, I've seen bulbs grow in, you know, or other more, I should say water-friendly plants grown in glass jars with glass marbles, you know, like the pothos, for instance. You can actually take a cutting of that and throw it in your fish tank, and it'll grow. Its roots will reach down, attach it to the gravel underneath, and your fish will like it too, because it gives them a good hiding spot to get away from the other fish in the tank. But now we're off subject. But I have done that. The movement and retention of water is very, very important, okay? Especially in container gardening. This has nothing to do, what we're talking about here has nothing to do with growing in the garden, okay? Growing in the earth, or say a large raised bed, or, you know, a regular old tilled garden, is hell and gone from growing in a container, or a pot. You simply cannot duplicate Mother Nature within the confines of a pot. It can't be done. Some people say, oh yeah, you can. No, you literally cannot. The same mixture, necessary mixture of fungi and nematodes and biota and worms and other bugs and mice and moles and other things that aerate the soil and help to break down decaying matter into usable food for uptake by the roots. you cannot duplicate that within a pot. You just can't. So even though I am completely anti-chemical and we're organic, when it comes to container gardening, it's a whole different story. And that's why I use things like Miracle Grow. And I use Captain by Bonide, which is an antifungal to help with root growth and keep fungus away from, like, the basal plates on the bottom of my bulbs, which are very important to their growth. So anyway, there are two forces that cause water to remain in or move through soils. One is gravity, of course, and the other is capillary action, okay? Gravity needs a little explanation because all things are pulled toward the center of the earth by gravity. We know this, okay? We learned this when we're quite young, and we all should know this. For this, I would like to note, capillary is a function of the natural forces of adhesion and cohesion, okay? Adhesion is water's tendency to stick to solid objects like particles on the sides of the pot. It is the reason water can stick to the inside of your vertical shower door. Cohesion is the tendency for water to stick to itself. Cohesion is why we often find water in droplet form, because cohesion is at times stronger than adhesion. In other words, water's bond to itself can be stronger Yeah, we need a muffler. In other words, water's bond to itself can be stronger than the bond to the object it might be in contact with, okay? Capillary action is adhesion plus cohesion. Forces in evidence when we dip a paper towel in water. The water will soak into the towel and rise several inches above the surface of the water. It will not drain back into the source, and it will stop rising when the force of gravity is equal to the capillary attraction of the fibers in the paper, okay? So, are you with me so far? Okay. There will be a naturally occurring perched water table, we call it a PWT, also referred to as a perched water column, in containers when soil particle size is under about 0.100, a little smaller than 1/8 of an inch. It is created whenever the capillary pull of the medium, remember how the water climbed up the paper towel and defied gravity, surpasses the gravitational flow potential, the GFP, weight of the water column in the pot. Therefore, the water does not drain. It is said to be perched, or it just kind of stays there, okay? The smaller the size of the particles in a medium, the more surface area there is for water to stick to. So, the greater the capillarity, and the greater the height of the perched water table. Perched water can be tightly held in heavy soils, comprised of small particles, where it perches. Think of a bird on a perch, just above the container bottom where it will not drain. Or it can perch in a layer of heavy medium on top of a coarse drainage layer, where again it will not drain. And in this case, we're talking about how, like, my grandmother used to say, oh, before you put your soil in your pot, you add a layer of gravel. That turns out to be an old wives' tale. That's not correct. You don't want to do that. By having those two different sizes of layers, once the water gets down to the bottom of the dirt, it doesn't really know, how to, it doesn't know how to get to that next layer, which is the gravel, so it doesn't do it a lot of good. It does more harm than good. So you're best off putting a teeny little piece of screen over the drainage hole, and using one layer from top to bottom of medium, the same medium, okay? And you guys have all seen the medium I use. Let me grab some and show you again. Okay. And mine is a little bit more water retentive than some others, okay? But since the area inside my house is so dry, I kind of like to keep it, I like to add a little bit extra. Okay, and this is what it looks like. There are pine bark fines, akadama, coarse perlite, granite chips, and a handful or two of, oh, it's either compost or a decent potting soil. It all depends. Right now I think it's a decent potting soil I had a long time ago. It was a brand called Sunshine, and we used to get it in here by the bale. And it was pretty tightly packed, but it also contained very large pieces of, what do you call it, very, very large pieces of coarse perlite, and, it also had some large pieces of fir bark in it. Not a lot, but some. Okay? But that's pretty much what my soil looks like. It's very, very, oh, look at this. We've got to get away from this. See this? This is a big no-no right here. Let me show you this. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, look at this. Here, let's, okay. Yeah, look at that. See how we got some rain last night? You see that salsa right there? Overflowing with water? No good. That is horrible. That's bad, 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 bad. Oh, yeah. Okay. No, that's got to be dumped. And right now, we're going to leave that outside of that so it can drain, okay? That has got to drain. That's a big no-no. Okay, let me check all my other ones over here and make sure nobody else got a big no-no. Nope, everybody else looks pretty good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, we're all good over here. This is, I kind of hung that, so that should be good. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, this has a ton of water in it, I'll bet. We'll let that go down there and just kind of... Alright. So, what we're going to do, since we have this one leaf here... Well, first of all, let me get you guys back over here so we can see what we're doing. Okay. I don't want to tighten up some of these things. This camera has too many things that are loose. It's got too many levers on it for me, okay? Okay, what I want to do with this yellow leaf here, so I'm going to get rid of it, okay? I'm going to cut it off because what it's doing, actually, is it is taking away from the energy of the plant. It takes the plant energy to slough off things that are dying and that it can't use. So we're going to get rid of that. Throw that out in the garbage pile over there. Oh, I am sweating right on my glasses. And I'm going to tell you, I'm having a hard time seeing here. Hang on, man. Whew. Wow. It is a little warm out here. Oh, my goodness. Okay, now this is a Euchamus. That's a Euchamus right there, and the only reason I have it up against here is because I don't have any kind of, I'm having a hard time talking today. I don't have any kind of support for it like I do for this. I have to go through the garage and find out what kind of support I have. I should have some rings for peonies and for other tall perennials, and I can grab some of those and I can cut them any length I want and make them into, you know, they'll actually be rings that I can plant right in the soil, and they will, I can put all the leaves inside the ring and they will help hold them up, give them support. If they grew outside on their own, they wouldn't need support. But since I can't really grow them outside, I can't really stick them in the ground and dig them up every year. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. So I keep them in pots. So besides the Euchamus, which it needs fresh soil, but it may not need a new pot. The pot that it has is actually a good size for it. So we might just wash off the pot and give the Euchamus fresh soil. Okay? We've already done that with the crinum, and we gave the crinum a smaller pot. What else have we done? Oh, we did the, last night we had some really bad storms yesterday, so I took inside my little, what do you call it? My papilio, my papilio butterfly. I took that inside, because I definitely wanted to save that, okay? What do we got over here? Looks like we've got some, yeah. I'm gonna need a little bit of, definitely gonna need a little bit of help over here. I'm gonna have to have OG come in here and give me a hand with some of this. Alright, there we go. I got some things that definitely could use a little bit of help. Okay, where were we? Alright, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna print some more stuff out as soon as OG gets some more ink for the for his printer, because I noticed on my printed out information that I'm missing a lot of lines here. They are just in terrible condition. Okay. If a medium which will retain its structure for long periods is desired, like we definitely want some parts of our, well, for me, I definitely want some parts of my medium to be able to retain its you know, its size and its consistency. I don't want it to break down fast. So, you know, and not just that, but in wherever you live in the world, there are going to be places where you can't get the same things that other people can get in different parts of the world. So if you see a recipe for the gritty mix or the 511 mix and you run into an ingredient that you can't find, there are substitutions that you can use, and a lot of people do. Some of the examples could be crushed granite, fine stone, very coarse sand. You don't want it to be smaller than a BB size, but there is sand that is quite large. Haydite, lava rock, pumice, turfus, calcined DE, and others, okay? The basic mix that I use is called the gritty mix, and it is screened pine or fir bark fines, And when I say fines, what I mean is, you know, like 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch, that size. I also use granite grit, which is basically your grower size. It's for chickens. It's Mana Pro. It's poultry grit, okay? It's just poultry grit. It says crafted with probiotics, but honestly, I don't really think that that's a necessary thing. It doesn't hurt it, but it's not necessary. You don't want to use oyster shell. Oyster shell contains salt. That's calcium, and you don't want too much. Oyster shell is actually to help chickens, to help the shells of their eggs. So you don't want that, okay? It comes from an oyster, which comes from the sea, so it's salty. You don't want it. It'll kill your plants. But you can use cherry stone. I've seen people use aquarium gravel that has not been treated or painted. There are a lot of different substitutions for stuff like that, okay? Now he uses a tablespoon of gypsum per gallon of medium. I don't. I suppose I probably should, but I simply don't have it, so I haven't used it. You want to screen the dust out. You want most of your particles to be about the same size. If you need a little bit more moisture retention, by all means, drop in a handful or two of a high quality potting mix. And by high quality, I mean, I don't mean Miracle Grow or Hyphenex or one of these other crappy products. And I'm sorry I said that, but you know what? They're crappy products. And I've used them, so I have experience with that. I don't care for them. Like I say, I at one point used a product called Sunshine, and it came in big bales, and they mostly sell it to like wholesalers, wholesale garden centers, and so we got a few bales of that in at one point in time, and I saved a little bit, and I add a couple handfuls to mine, and all that does is just give it a little bit more moisture retention, okay? So that with my dry air upstairs, I don't have to worry about it drying out too soon. Okay? Let's see. There are a lot more links that I'm going to have to post here that will get us to where we want to go when it comes to root pruning, how to start a bonsai tree, how to start your own using just a little tree, just a little, a baby tree that you either dug up in a training or one that you bought at a nursery. You can do that. So, anyway, I'm going to put this away, take my glasses off. I don't need those for right now. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Oh, my hair's coming out of my bun, and oh, I am just feeling yucky today, I gotta tell you folks. It is hot, it is humid, it is terrible. Now, what I'm gonna do is I am gonna shorten the legs on this. Okay, so excuse me while I spin you. I'm gonna spin you right round, right round, right? Okay, there we go. Alright, what I really want to show you, wait a minute, let me get one more set going here. Okay, here, let's see here. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now I can handle it. I wanted to show you what I got growing out here. Check this out. So I came out this morning, or actually it was yesterday, and look what we have. Look at that. We have a little melon growing right here, right outside the greenhouse door. Okay, let's back it up. There's the greenhouse door. There's the little melon on the ground. And here's another one. Look at this. Let's see, where is it? There it is, right there. Check that out. Okay. And as we keep looking, we keep finding more little ones that are, well, in here, I don't know what we're going to find. Seems to me like some of this stuff just isn't really, doesn't want to grow melons underneath, but it does seem like some of these little flowers are being fertilized. Yes, they are. Here's another little one. Check it out. There it is. Let's see if I can get the leaves out of the way. There. There we go. There's a little melon right there. See that? Okay, that one's hanging in there, guys. Hanging in there. And I've got a couple more small plants. Every single one of these right now is in a container, as you can see. Okay? These are all grown in just regular old pots. And I decided to do that because at my age and with the things that I have going on health-wise, I gotta tell you, digging up a giant garden and trying to keep it weeded and everything is really hard on me. So, yeah, I'm not up for that. This is a Hoya. It's related to the milkweed, believe it or not. You can see the little silver speckles on the leaves, and you can see how green these leaves are compared to the ones that have grown inside that are a little lighter in color. See that? As I back away, you can definitely see the color difference. Look at that. I've put it back in a hanging basket. It's still in a clay pot, but I just stuffed that right down in there just to give it something to hang from. And we're getting a lot more growth. We're getting some beautiful green growth here. I'm very happy. And as far as, because it was storming yesterday, I wanted to put my Letterboria way in the back because I didn't want that to get all, I mean, it's in bad enough shape right now. I did not want anything to fall off of it or have it get damaged in any way. Pretty soon, we're going to dive in there and start pulling out the bulbs that are going to survive, and we're going to, I have to do some reading, and we are going to actually, we're going to tear this sucker apart, and we're going to make several very good pots of Letterboria out of it, okay? Now, oh, let's see. It's getting a little too warm to work out here. Oh, check this out. You guys might like this. Let's see if I can do this. Look at, this is the roof of my greenhouse. It's coming apart. So, we have a maple tree that covers it. That's my shade. I'm leaving it there because I need the shade. And as you can see, we're missing some panels. Yep, there's one. Missing a panel. I'm missing like 4 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's okay. It's okay. Actually, 4.5. So, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter that much. Here's old guy's, yeah, those are his sunflowers. I'm still watering them and fertilizing them for him, but he just doesn't seem to want to, I don't know. I think he's just getting too old to be doing the kind of things that he wants to do. Kind of like me, you know, I got big plans, but sometimes you just can't accomplish what you want to, you know. Oh well, what are you going to do? Alright, so, oh, and there's my, there's my little guy right there. There's my gargoyle. I just love that thing. I think it's so cool. We got that when we were we were deeply into bulldogs, into breeding bulldogs, and the old man bought my daughter a little dog, and a little yard ornament dog, and got me this one, and I know she loves hers, and yeah, I like this one a lot. I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, for today, I think just talking a little bit about stuff, and you know, I don't think we're going to do too much more than that. Right now, I'm dying in the heat here, and my mind is kind of elsewhere, like, oh, let's see, inside where it should be. So, in the cool where it needs to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very careful we don't step on our little melons. And, oh yeah, look at that. There's my little bed of heuchera. My little bench. My little toad house. And I dumped some fertilized water on my quadra over there, so that should help that. We've got some pawpaw seedlings growing in here. So, yeah, we'll have to get those ready to go. And I think we're going to end with this, okay? Since this is a garden type of a deal here. Relax, people. Take time to smell the flowers, okay? So, let's do that. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me for another little episode of, oh, I don't know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that as it pertains to container growing. So, we will see you next time when hopefully I have my shit together a little better. Alright, people. Peace. Definitely peace. I don't know what time of day or night it is, but I am very, very happy that you joined me. And we'll see you again real soon, okay? Take care. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.